Sean Gathright, Isaiah Chance, Davion Murphy, and Rashad Murphy were all charged with first-degree murder in the fatal shooting of Jacksonville rapper Julio Fulio. And last week, we saw all four defendants be found guilty of these charges. And now they just wait to see what they final fate is, because today was day one for jurors to determine the appropriate penalty and for each defendant's attorney to explain to the jurors why they feel like their client shouldn't get the death penalty. And I'm gonna be real, y'all about to hear some stories that might pull on your heart a little bit, just a little bit, because these attorneys put it on real thick. And I feel like Sean Gathright, in all honesty, man, the way that you got your grandma up here and stuff, and just all, you like the dumbest kid in the state of Florida, like flat out. I it's like it ain't no way he had all this good stuff going on in his life. But this dude used to be going out of the country. He was like a Fortnite kid where he met like FaZe, and you used to take all these trips. You had some of the best friends in school coming up, and you just turned out to be a shooter like this, just started running with the wrong crowd. I'm just interested to know, like, where this stuff go wrong with this boy. And we don't get into a few things that his friends said, his grandma said on the stand, and just some of the stuff the attorney tried to just throw out there to the jurors to get some type of grace. And at the end of this video, close to the end, I'm gonna break down Davion Murphy's situation with his attorney, because she came off to me as a person who, the way that you're trying to go now with, he got a mental problem and he crazy, like y'all should have just started with that from the get-go. I feel like it's too late for that, and we're gonna break that down. But before we do, if you're new to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment down below. It's T-RaeTv, and over here, I don't give lies or spin narratives. I just say what I feel. I saw a live stream of DJ Academics a few days ago, and he was talking about the breakdown that Sean Gathright had in the courtroom, just him crying, and once he found out he was guilty last week. And it's crazy how everybody is saying the exact same thing about this dude. Like he got to be like the dumbest one out of the whole bunch. This boy really didn't have to take the route that he chose, period. He had a good life, real friends, and I'm talking about smart friends. Like he come from a good background. Like this dude had friends that used to go skydiving with him. They used to go bowling, eat at fancy restaurants. Like, you name it.
Mr. Tudor, how do you know Sean Gathright?
We're longtime friends.
What do you mean by long time?
We met when we was younger, like middle school, and then as we've grown older, we've become closer and closer.
Did you meet in school?
No, we met outside of school. Technically, we had a bus stop near our neighborhood that we'd all used to go to, and that's like where every kid in the area kind of was at that time. And then as a couple years gone by, like my childhood friends were really close with him, and we just became closer and closer.
Okay. And so you met, did you approach each other at this bus stop, or was it just maybe you other friends?
It would be like, normally, because me and a few other people, we normally play like football after school, and his bus would come off a little later, and like one of my closer friends is really close friends with him, so when he would go over there to talk to him and some of the other friends, I'd be there, and that's kind of how it started. Then, after a while, he had ended up moving away, so I didn't really see him at the bus stop no more. But then when he came back, like from Mississippi, that's when we really became like even more close and really became the friends that we are today.
When do you think that was approximately?
That was end of 23 when we really, end of 2023 when we really became like close friends.
How would you describe Mr. Gathright as a friend? How would you describe him as a friend?
He's like one of the best friends you could kind of have. Sean is very outgoing, very confident. The type of person that is gonna lift the mood or lift the spirit because he's the life of the party all the time. Like I remember when I came back from, or not when I came back, when he came back, I was staying at the friend that connected the two of us. I was staying at his house, and he was going over to Sean's house, and I was just kind of like a little bit, I wouldn't say afraid to go over to Sean's house and meet his people, but I was not really like making it a big deal. But then Sean was like, "Nah, man, like come over. You know, it's like my house is your house, family." And from that moment, we've always been integrated. We've been on trips together, a few road trips.
Where'd you go?
We went to Orlando to go stay in my grandparents' timeshare condo for a little spring break trip. We went to Mississippi. And we kind of had went to Jenny Springs. Yeah, just a few trips here and there. Mostly, like we're hangout buddies at the house, so that's like our thing.
What'd you
First
like
thing in
to
the
do?
morning,
Oh, sorry.
we
Go
go
ahead.
over. I'm sorry. First thing in the morning, everybody's at Sean's house. All of our friends, we just sit in there, talk, play games, watch movies. If not my house or one of my other friends' house, same thing. Like just teenage stuff, anything we could think of. Bowling. We didn't had days where we took our dogs out to play together.
That's one of his childhood friends that took the stand and tried to, I guess, speak in his favor from when they was younger. And this dude spoke high, little Sean. How you go from that to doing drills? Play a little bit of what DJ Academic said in a second, but I think some people look at this and they don't got no remorse or no empathy for Sean, regardless of how, like, his age, how old he is. They don't care because you went the extra mile in this shoe. Like, you the person who some people think your bullets may have killed Fulio.
He was having a good time in life. He was living a privileged life. You know, not to try to use coming up from harsh backgrounds to justify criminality, but a lot of people believe in the poem mentality, which is sometimes when, and I actually believe in that because that's why I regretted certain stuff with Chicago, because it wasn't that everybody was a bad person. There's a lot of people that was POME, product of my environment. This kid's environment was luxurious 2-story house with multiple rooms. I think he's a solo sibling, or he doesn't have a sibling. I mean, I'm sorry, it's a solo child. It's not like he's sleeping 5 in a bed with his brothers and getting clowned for holding his shoes at school, and he kind of got to go to the streets to make a little extra. His mom is never home, and he's hanging out at other people's house, and he get into some bad habits and whatever, and it goes to some internet stuff, and he's beefing and shit, like it gets whatever, and like the parents not there, so he ends up killing someone. He got great parents. The boy just wanted to start playing Call of Duty in real life. That's all we can say. We can't say that he was, down bad. None of that stuff. The boy wanted to play Call of. He met his famous Call of Duty player here. This guy plays Call of Duty, or used to, and he was a big Call of Duty guy. And at some point, he said, "You know what? Let me go do this in real life." I would have some sympathy for him if he was under 18, but the boy is 20. The boy is 20, chat. I can't. If you look at the people he followed, or Face Apex even followed him, and it culminated into him getting arrested at gunpoint for a murder.
The guns that sponsored this whole thing came from out of your mom's arsenal, like your parents' arsenal inside of y'all home. And I think his mama is like law enforcement or military or something like that. So she had a shitload of guns. And you the one did the most trolling on the internet after the fact. After all this stuff, it's like they got all this stuff in your phone where you was in the club popping Don Julio bottles and in the VIP session and some more shit. And then the fact that when they took you in for questioning, not only did you try to take your ankle monitor off right there on the camera, dude, you actually get caught too trying to jump out the damn ceiling, trying to escape through the light. So when you get to hearing people just talking about his age and all that stuff like that, like, man, you may have been young at the time when this stuff was going on, but you still was at the age of understanding. You knew what you was doing, and it's over with. It's over with.
Yo, bro, he looked like one of these like Fortnite players and Call of Duty players on Adderall. Boy, you should have stayed in them Call of Duty lobbies, bro. You should have never took it to real life. He looks spooked already. He looks spooked. Look at this guy. Yo, he got the little Dirk eyes right now. He's spooked. Yo, I think this boy sold himself, bro. He's spooked. How you gonna be this scared and you run down first? Your boy ain't making it even to GTA 6, man. This is crazy. That boy ain't even making it to GTA 6, bro. He ain't make it to GTA 6, man. Hearing niggas talk about doing all type of crimes and killing people, they never see that this part, seemingly most days, is inevitable because you can't really commit a crime and not get caught for it in 2026 when there's abundance of cameras, listening devices, and you have a GPS tracker called a cell phone that's sitting on your hip. But okay, if you want to do it, we got to show how a young 20-year-old guy, you know what I mean? Like he probably thought he was on some Zach LaVine, LaMelo Ball type of wave. No, brother, you're going to be the pretty little chick that they're going to be tossing around from cell to cell in whatever prison you go to, nigga. That's it. All right? They're going to be.
And then you sit down, you just see him just looking so pitiful. He just keep looking back at his family and stuff like that. It's like, man, it's over with, bro. That's all I can keep on saying, because when you look at, like I say, how he went about it, it was nasty work. It's like you wanted to be caught, or you wanted people to know the role that you played in this. So they just come with it, man. And I kind of feel where Act coming from, just when he say, like, he kind of feel like he deserved probably the highest penalty of, like, he deserved the death penalty. I'm just gonna say it like that. Like, Act kind of said he feel like he deserved the death penalty because somebody at some point when it come to this stuff gotta be an example. So it don't matter how people look at this dude and just like, oh, he light skin, he like the handsome fella with the good hair and stuff. He don't deserve it. Man, miss me with all that, because we have choices. We have choices. And you can't make me believe that he was a product of his environment other than a good environment. So these choices that you chose, like you made these decisions on your own. You weren't forced based on circumstances and where you came from and where you live. You just were trying to fit in. This is the result of a square person trying to fit in with a culture that ultimately they don't belong in. That's why I say this dude, he dumb, and it's like, if he gotta be the example to be a form of a scare tactic for kids in the future or whatever is to come with anybody else involved with other things in this case, then that's just what we done came to at this point. This is just where we at now. This is just where we at now. Now, his attorney's job is to try to convince the jurors that Sean needs a little grace because he was young, underage at the time, like all the stuff that I just said earlier. So that would mean that he was just a kid. He didn't know what he was doing, and he made a mistake.
Asking you to do. I ask that you continue to listen intently and give this second phase of the trial the same attention that you did the first. We saw you taking notes, listening. We know it's been a long several weeks. Nothing in this phase is intended to diminish the seriousness of the charge or what happened in this case. The pain caused, the value of the life lost. Mitigation and mitigating factors are not an excuse. They're an explanation. They tell a story. This is the part of the trial about Sean Gathright, about the person. And this is not about asking if Mr. Gathright is guilty or not guilty. You have already found that with your verdict, and we respect your verdict. This phase asks a different question. And it's not even whether or not Mr. Gathright should be held accountable. He will be. The question now is, should this very young man be permanently sentenced to death? Or does he have a life worth saving? During this phase, you're going to hear about who Mr. Gathright was before the events that you've heard about in this trial. You're going to hear about a childhood that was marked with some instability due to being in a military family, repeated separations from his parents, some abuse by his father, loss, absence of steady guidance during some of his most formative years. You're going to hear that Mr. Gathright was barely 18 years old at the time of this crime, the youngest, at an age where society, common sense, and the law itself recognized that judgment, impulse control, and decision-making are still developing. He's still maturing. As he sits here today, he's only 20 years old. The evidence is going to show you that Sean Gathright is not a man beyond hope or beyond redemption, but a very young human being, still capable of growth, maturity, accountability, remorse, and change. You're going to hear some other really important things, and you're going to hear from people that know him best. You're going to hear from several of Mr. Gathright's family, friend, guidance counselor, and they're going to tell you about a loving, respectful, nonviolent young man that they knew. A smart student, a good student, who loved his family, was a good uncle, helped others, did mission trips, fed the homeless, worked hard, built a business, and showed great potential for a meaningful future. You're also going to hear from an expert who's going to tell you that even in prison, Mr. Gathright can live a constructive life where he can continue to mature and positively affect others, including his family and friends who he maintains a relationship with, but also other inmates. And he can be held accountable without ending his life.
It gets worse though. His grandma took the stand.
Ma'am, will you please state your name for the record and spell your last name for our court reporter?
Lorna Allen. Lorna Allen. Last name Allen.
And Ms. Allen, just make sure you speak up into that microphone, okay, so everybody can hear you and the court reporter can take down everything that you're saying.
Okay.
What is your relationship to Sean Gathright, ma'am?
He's my grandson.
Okay. Are you, his mother is your daughter, I assume?
Yes, she is.
And were you involved, we've heard a couple stories, were you involved in Mr. Gathright's upbringing at all?
Yes, during visits, and when he was younger, when he was maybe a toddler, he spent a couple months with me when his parents went on military services.
Okay. Was that up in New York?
Yes.
And how would you describe Sean as a child or as he grew up?
He was a happy baby, friendly laugh, explore his environment. He was a good baby.
And how did you, well, let me ask you this. Do you still live in New York?
I go back and forth.
To where? To Florida?
To Florida.
So how often do you think over the years and would you see Sean?
During holidays, Christmas, maybe sometime Thanksgiving, and maybe sometime in the summer.
And he would come, if he was in Jacksonville, would come to see you?
He would come to see me, yes.
And when he wasn't with you physically, did you communicate with him at all?
Yes, by a phone.
Tell me about, do you have any from the time that he was living with you, or memories over the holidays? Any stories or memories that stick out to you about your father?
There's a lot. He was the life of the party. He would give us jokes. We would laugh. He would dance. He'd tell us about his cooking. I remember one Thanksgiving. We were spending Thanksgiving in New York. And we were cooking, and he came upstairs with a bag. And he was saying, waving the bag like this. I didn't know what was in the bag, but there was a surprise on the menu that I didn't know about. So they asked me, it was time for me to go upstairs and get dressed. And it was alligator tail, and they quickly prepared the alligator tail. We came down, it was like a deep fried tail. We came down to the table, and they said, okay, we're going to start eating. And we didn't know what it was, but it looked so good. It looked more like shrimp. And when we tasted it, we all said, this is good. So we were all eating, and he knew, but he said, doing like this, and we didn't realize he was wagging the tail of the alligator. So when we finished eating, he said, okay, do you want to know what you just ate? And nobody knew what it was, but it was delicious. Okay. And he said, alligator tail. And everybody started to, say, oh, well, we ate it and nothing happened. So, it was very funny, but it was a good meal. And he kept that as a secret.
Did he like to cook?
Yes. He even made a little video about some meal he was cooking. But when he finished and he's tasting this meal, and on TV they said, it's so good. And he said, it was good, but he turned his head away. And then he said, yuck, it wasn't that good.
It needed some work?
Yes.
Was he helpful to you in the kitchen?
Very helpful. He wanted to learn our, style of cooking, the seasoning that we use and how we do it. And he enjoyed our culture food. So he was always there trying to learn how to cook stuff. And he always tell me, oh, I love your cooking.
And we heard from your son about, you maintaining a faith religious home. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that. How did you impart that on your children and grandchildren?
I grew up very religious with my parents. So they have to be respectful to each other, and the parents in the home, they have to do their duties. Their rooms must be clean. They say their grace, no swearing or anything in the house. Respect everybody around, and we don't swear. We go to church, they go to Sunday school, and it's a part of us. We grew up,
And when you weren't living in the same state as Sean, do you know if he still went to church or Sunday school?
I know he went to the local Baptist church, and I don't remember his age, but he was maybe about 9, 10, or between 9 and 11. He requested to be baptized, and they did baptize him.
Were you there for that?
I wasn't there for that, but they called me and let me know.
How would you describe just his character? If I would ask you to say, what is Sean like as a person? What do you?
He's self-disciplined. He's respectful. He's dependable. He's fair.
How was he towards family and his sister?
They love him because he was so funny. So they love him.
You said he was the life of the party.
Yeah, he was the life of the party.
Do you still maintain a relationship with your grandson?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how do you do that now?
Once in a while, he would make a call to me, and I accept the call.
Okay. And will you continue to do that throughout his life?
I will forever, as long as I'm alive.
Here, I may have a moment.
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Russ?
No question, Judge.
All right. May this witness be excused?
This is the stuff right here where dudes need to just sit back and think when they be out here and you just be causing all this chaos and this crazy stuff be going on. Because to just see your grandma up there on the stand, see his grandma on the stand like that. Man, it's sad. It's sad and it be dumb shit. And the only thing he can do is just keep on just looking back at his family or just looking back at the people who came to represent him, which it ain't really too many people there. That's another thing too I be paying attention to. Everybody be in support of you on social media when you online and you doing crazy stuff for clout. But just as soon as a person get in trouble and they really got to fight this, man, it ain't nobody in the courtroom now. Where the friends at? Where the homeboys? Where all the people that was sharing and liking and reposting all the trolling and all the stuff that was, ain't nobody there. You have the real deal just go through this stuff. Man, all four of them. Like, it's finna be, like, this is gonna be some lonely shit for these guys, man. A long road ahead of them, just a lonely life. Now to get to Davion Murphy, you know, like I said earlier, man, I feel like this should have been his defense team route from the get-go, because that interrogation video let you know that this man ain't had all his sense.
From your family, your friends, your job, and sacrifice what you've sacrificed in order to do this for all of us. Unfortunately, there's no one in this courtroom that can undo what happened. No verdict, no sentence, no punishment will bring Charles Jones back. His family, his friends, are experiencing and did experience real pain. We acknowledge that, and we fully accept and respect your verdict of guilt. But by virtue of your verdict, Davion Murphy's fate has been sealed. He will die in Florida State Prison. That is for sure. That's a fact. He's going to die one way or another. The only question that remains that you have to answer in this phase, in the second phase, is whether Davion Murphy dies when a higher power says so, or when the state of Florida decides that it should be done. It's the only question left. As I said, his fate has been sealed. He will live every minute of every day, of every month, of every year, incarcerated in prison for the rest of his life. There is no parole in the state of Florida. There's no good behavior. There's no game time. And Mr. Davion Murphy's life is worth saving. An individual should not be judged by one tragic, terrific event. You have to consider the whole person. And that's what mitigation is. I expect that you're going to hear testimony from several doctors. You're going to hear from Dr. Eisenstein. He's a neuropsychologist. And he's going to tell you about Davion's childhood, his intellectual struggles in school, how he has a very low IQ. He was in ESE classes. He was in an IEP program while he was in school. But one of the most defining things in Davion Murphy's life was when Davion Murphy was just a mere 12 years old, and his father got arrested and charged with murder. His father and his uncle were charged with the same murder. And as you all sit here, as we all sit here, as Davion Murphy sits here, his father is doing life in prison. That happened when he was 12. And his uncle is also incarcerated. As you know, as you've heard in the first phase of this trial, Mr. Murphy grew up in Jacksonville. And at a young age, 12, 13, 14, 15, violence and death were the norm in those communities, in that community that he lived with. It became normalized. I also believe that you will hear from Dr. Eisenstein and tell you that he grew up without a father figure, obviously, no stable environment, no financial stability whatsoever in his life. You're also going to hear that Davion himself was shot, that he's had multiple close family members that have been shot and killed, close friends shot and killed at a very young age. To Davion, you're also going to hear from Dr. Rubino, and he's a neurologist. We had some PET scans and MRI scans done of Davion Murphy's brain. And he's going to testify that Davion Murphy has brain injuries, global brain injuries from multiple vehicle accidents, fights, other head trauma that he experienced from a young age and into his young adult age. And he's going to tell you that those brain injuries, and you'll see slides, and Dr. Rubino will tell you what those slides mean, but that those brain injuries cause him to have lack of judgment, lack of ability to stabilize his emotions, his inability to think about the consequences ahead of time, that he's a follower, not a leader. The first phase, you were decided whether or not Mr. Davion Murphy was guilty or not guilty, and he had the right, just as we all do, to defend himself. And as I said, we fully respect and accept your verdict. But during this phase, I'm going to ask you to consider all of the mitigation that we present on his behalf, and consider him as a whole person, who he is today, how he got here today, why is he sitting in this courtroom here today? Well, there's a reason. And I believe the mitigation that we present will give you that reason. And you should know that this is not a numbers game of how many aggravators the state has listed or how many that they've even proven or have proven or they've proven them all. Mitigation is individual to you, to each defendant, but individually a moral vote. It's a judgment that each one of you alone get to make. You guys will discuss the evidence, the mitigators, and things of that nature, but it's each of you has your own vote. I hope at the end of the presentation of the defense mitigation for Davion Murphy, gives him the just punishment of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Because the aggravating factors are just, they're there. But it's not going to outweigh the mitigation that we present. So at the end, I'll stand up here one last time and ask that you vote for life. Thank you.
So this nigga retarded. I get it. Like, can I say that on it? Like Disney, he's slow. He's slow. Like all the stuff that this dude did in the interrogation room, y'all didn't know this. Y'all ain't. But again, it's too late. That's just me. That's just how I feel. I feel like when she started going off of there talking about it's gonna be a person come in tomorrow and gonna tell you about the examination that they did on his brain and how he ain't got it all up there. He done had car accidents. He done been shot, did that in third, fights and stuff. I'm like, man, if y'all want this boy to get some psychiatric help and play crazy, that should and that was y'all think this what y'all should have kind of like ran with in the beginning. This was you should have led with. Like, am I making sense? I know I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm a little sleepy, y'all. Like, am I making sense? And to put personal opinion in here about Davion Murphy and Rashad, just they role that they played, but Davion in particular in this video, they was gonna crash regardless. Like Davion, this stuff, it was gonna happen eventually. If you think about his interrogation video, Davion, and some of the stuff that he said when he was sitting down talking to them two detectives, a lot of his reason of what he did and the role that he played in this was like morals and principles. It was kind of like you sat around here and you did all this trolling to the point where my auntie took sick. My grandma had I think he said grandma had a heart attack and died. So like it was more than just a back and forth on like how whatever Isaiah and them and Sean got right, how they, like it was way deeper to them cousins and what they had going on than it was with them boys. I feel like eventually they was gonna catch up, they was gonna get up with him whenever they got a chance, especially Davion. And if you pay attention to a lot of his body language and stuff and how he been acting this whole time, he ain't been really just showing no remorse. This dude ain't been caring at all. And I feel like with Rashad, Rashad is just living up to his name, his street name, Ghost. I feel like, man, it's on some different shit when you just looking at them boys and what they did it for. I feel like whatever they did it for when it comes to just family and then, just losing their cousin, with Spaz, I think Spaz would, I could be wrong on that, I think, but I know one of these guys that got killed was a family member. And in his interrogation video, you just hear him saying like all the trolling that Fulio was doing or having to constantly hear people rap these songs over and over again, these lyrics every time his people walk out of the door. That's what led to his grandmother passing and one of his aunties or something like that, like having a heart attack or whatever the case. And when he started talking like that, I'm like, man, yeah, it was deeper than just what them other guys was on. It just so happened it was just perfect timing for all them to just be on the same type of shit to just go down there and get the business done. But in closing, that's how today went. You know, I feel like either way it go is over with regardless. Like you fighting life in jail and just die in jail, or you just fighting not to die on the jail's terms as far as like calling you before it's guard time. But it's no more freedom in the picture nowhere. Like they throw their lives away, man. And do I feel bad? No, because we all have choices. And like I say, you know, this right here, I feel like they pushing with the death penalty so hard in a lot of these rap cases now. If you notice, just like with this is a sidebar with Yellow Beezy in Texas right now, they trying to do the same exact thing with Yellow Beezy in Texas with the Mo 3 situation. They trying to get like push for him to get the death penalty too. They trying to make an example out of these rappers, man, when it comes to these Paul Y and W Melly. Like, just when you talk about death penalty, it's like that's the first thing you think about. Like, they trying to make an example out of these rappers, man, because rappers for a long time have always been the people that can like skate under the radar and really get away with stuff. And like now everybody looking around like they surprised that people getting caught. No, man, it was bound to happen with some of this shit that's going on because people getting tired of just the money, the rapping, and you got the power to it. Like you a celebrity, you famous, you got money to do everything, go travel, you can get in trouble, buy your way out of trouble. It's too much chaos going on. They making an example out of Dirk too. So it really don't surprise me a lot of these rappers just going to jail right now and they hitting them with the hammer. They not bullshitting with them. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Do you feel like Sean Gathright deserve a little grace in this? Do he deserve the death penalty or should he just get life without parole? And do you think that Davion Murphy and Rashad Murphy, you know, they part in this is justified? Or do you feel like Davion is at peace with what he did? Should he get the death penalty or should he just get life without parole as well? You know, and if you stay to the end, I appreciate it. T-RaeTv, man. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a good night.